Welcome to Tracy's Homestead. Today we're going to be canning Cowboy candy, which is basically candied jalapenos, and they are great in so many different ways. I like them best with cream cheese on a bagel. You can put them on fish or beef or chicken. You can eat them right straight out of the jar, and they only take 15 minutes to water bath. So let's get a whole bunch of jalapenos, a ridiculous amount of sugar, and some vinegar, and let's get cracking. Every time I want to can something, I have to clean my kitchen first. So if your place doesn't look pristine and looks like Martha Stewart lives there, don't worry about that. This is something that's often left out of canning videos, and it's important to see. So I've got my recipe here. I'm going to try and stick it here in my little cupboard door as I struggle trying to get it to stay. I've got my collection of things. Here's about 7 pounds of jalapenos. I've got my lids and funnel, strainer, measuring cup, a bowl, cutting board, a knife, 7 pounds of jalapenos, sugar, vinegar, turmeric, and celery seed. Wear gloves for this part because you don't want to rub your eye or go to the bathroom later and regret your decisions. So you can cut the slices of jalapeno any way you want. Matter of fact, they don't even have to be slices. They could be diced up, especially if you're planning on using it as a spread. Doing diced jalapenos works well too. I'm doing them for multiple uses, so I'm slicing it, and then you want to discard the little stem end. If you want it less spicy, you can remove the seeds, but I'm all about that spice, so I'm leaving all of that in there, and I think it's going to be delicious. It's one of my family's favorite additions to whatever they're eating. I got my large stock pot, and I'm going to try to show you this recipe, but it's not going to show up very well, so I'll make sure to put that in the description. But it's jalapenos, vinegar, sugar, and spices. So we're going to start with 4 cups of vinegar because I'm doing a large batch, and a teaspoon of turmeric. It gives it a very nice color. It also gives it a nice richness of spice. Now we're going to go for some celery seed and pop the little reducer off the end so I can scoop a teaspoon of celery seed out. There we go. Celery seed is another ingredient that's in bread and butter pickles that gives it a unique flavor. So if you like that flavor with it, you'll like these too. Now, I'm going to use an entire 4-pound bag of sugar plus 3 cups to equal 12 cups of sugar. Yes, this is basically like making preserves or jam or something, just with jalapenos. Technically, jalapenos are a fruit, so you could just tell everyone it's fruit preserves and laugh. All right. Here's the extra 3 cups of sugar, and then we'll just go ahead and turn on the heat and stir it in. Now it's going to look really thick, and you're also going to be really questioning whether this is enough liquid for the amount of jalapenos you have. But trust me, it is. And also, it's going to dissolve the sugar as the heat rises, and it's going to be perfect. I'm doing pint jars because my family will eat these like they're candy, because they are. But you can do half pints or even the smaller ones. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling up my canner so that I can use it as a water bath canner. I won't be using it as a pressure canner today, but I've got to fill this up so that there's an inch or two of water above the jars. And I'll have some tea while I'm waiting. Remember to stir that sugar concoction often so it doesn't burn. And you can start heating up the water in your canner as well so that the temperature of the peppers and the temperature of the water bath canner are close to the same so that you don't break any jars. Once it starts boiling, it'll still look fairly cloudy. You want to boil it for about 5 minutes. As you can see, it kind of clarifies. And now we're going to carefully add all 7 pounds of jalapenos. You can totally reduce this to the amount that you need, but here I go. Dumping all those jalapenos in. Yes, a few of them fell. I'm not perfect, and neither are you, so you'll probably have a few fall too. You want to make sure you really coat these jalapenos well so that the sugar doesn't just burn onto the bottom of the pot. And you're going to come and stir that frequently. Now trust me when I tell you, your air will get spicy. Put a lid on it. After 5 minutes of boiling, your jalapenos should look slightly duller in color, and you can get your jars ready. I recommend putting it on a paper towel because this is going to be sticky. There is so much sugar in this, and as it drips, it's going to go everywhere, and you're going to be glad that you laid a paper towel or something down first. Using some sort of a slotted spoon, I want you to fill up your jars with jalapenos and make sure that they're not real tightly packed, but also not loosely packed. You want to make sure you're getting an adequate amount of jalapenos per jar. So I use a little spoon or anything really to kind of just gently press them down and top it off with a few more jalapenos. Now I'm going to be grabbing some of the brine from the pot and pouring it over the jalapenos in the jar. And you can go up to 1/4 inch of headspace. I personally prefer about 1/2 inch of headspace in my jars. It's just a personal preference, and it's not going to change the length of time for canning or the food safety or anything. So I usually go about 1/2 inch. Now, sometimes I fill a bunch of jars and then wipe the rims all at the same time and then put them in my canner, but with this being so sticky, I like to wipe the rim right away and get a nice, clean, good lid on. I'm reusing some of the lids and I'm using new on some of the jars. And I'm going to put it right into the canner right away while it's still nice and hot, pretty close to the temperature of the water in the canner. The lids that are brand new, I'll be using for selling. I want to make sure I have a few lids that are brand new so that I can sell without any questions. But for my own family, I went ahead and reused lids. I have a couple jars of just brine in there because you don't want to lose that brine. And we're going to cover it up, turn on the pot, and wait for it to start to boil. Remember, 2 inches of water above the jars, please. Don't lose that extra brine. This is actually just going to go in my fridge, and I'm going to use it right away, probably on some salmon or anything I'd like. The water just started boiling well, so I'm going to, oops, bonked the camera there. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes so that I know that it's boiling well. And it's done, the beauty of time lapse. Simply turn off the burner, maybe crack the lid a little bit to let some of the steam out, and wait for it to chill out. Once it's stopped boiling, you can reach in with your tongs and start lifting out the jars and putting them on a nice cloth in a safe location where little hands are not going to reach up and try and grab them. Now you'll want your peppers to stay in the same spot for at least 12 hours so that you can be sure that they seal well and don't have any false seals and don't get messed with. Don't press down on the buttons on top. That needs to happen on its own. See, there's some of that brine that I canned up. I can use that as a head start next time I want to can up some jalapenos if I have a small batch. Keep little hands away from these. They're very, very hot. Not just in temperature, they're also pretty spicy. Leave these for a minimum of 12 hours. Don't press down on the buttons. And after 12 hours, you can take the rings off of the jars and store them on your pantry shelves. They should be good for years to come. If they last that long, which I guarantee you they absolutely will not. I always cover mine with a cloth so that they cool more evenly. So we've just finished canning our Cowboy candy, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at those colors in there. Now if you want more color, you can make sure you get a few red peppers. Sometimes there are red jalapenos that you can either grow or get at the store, or just put a few red bell peppers in there. Just for color. It's kind of fun to add a little extra color in, and you would still water bath it the same amount of time. Don't forget to use that brine that you had left over for all sorts of good things. It's great for marinating meats and things like that. And just want to encourage you guys to rub on with your canning, and come back and see me next time I'm doing my next canning video. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.